Hey everybody, it's Raina. It's Friday, the 5th of November. I thought I'd hit on something different today. I thought I'd touch a little bit on soul development and on soulmates. And I'm sure everybody's interested in that. Because actually I added another YouTube page and I kind of had a lot of trouble I want to separate my songs and my psychic stuff, and I've had a hell of a problem with that. And if I can't go on my phone from my one account to my psychic page where I have most of my stuff. So I'm kind of stuck. So I have to do it on the big computer, big PC. So anyway, I'm trying to work that out. So that's why I really haven't been posting on any of the others, because I'm stuck on my phone on the music page, which I just have 3 videos. It's Rhonda Bendick if you want to. I only have 3 videos up. I love to sing, and I've been singing a long time. It's not like I'm being brave or anything. It's because I love to sing, and I did it professionally for a couple of years, and then I saw it wasn't going anywhere, and it was a bad decision. Anyway, so soul development. I highly recommend this book. I know this is backwards, but it is called Messages from Michael. And it's written by Chelsea Quinn Yarbro. It was written, I believe, in the 70s, but the information is amazing. We learned it when I was younger, where we were learning New Age or the old ways. And nobody can tell me New Age isn't the old ways, because New Age is actually what people lived by before they had phones, computers, the television, the telephone, before they had any of this, the telegraph. They had to live by the stars, the moon, the cycles, the way the leaves turned on the plants to tell when was the growing season, because this is how they survived. These are ways they had to listen to their dreams. If they had a dream that they could not figure out, they went to the church or the town, the church, the town witch or Wicca in Celtic, or Hexa in Nordic, which I'm Nordic. So, but I have other things in there. I'm also might be part gypsy too, because I'm Slavic. I have some Slavic. But anyway, these are the things that people had to know how to do. New Age things that people like dowsing, card reading, visions, signs that are all around you that you don't recognize normally, but if you're aware that this is different, suddenly you notice something you've looked at 100 times, and all of a sudden you notice it, it's probably a sign. So this is the ways. New Age is actually the old ways. It's a recurrence, it's a comeback of the old ways, where people had to think on their own, and they had to recognize the earth around us as a living thing and telling us things. So it's not witchcraft, really. It's not. It's just using our own abilities, our spirits, our spirit guides, our whatever God the Mother gave us to use to help ourselves. So that's what New Age is. It's not a scary thing. It's not witchcraft. It's not Satanism. It's not all this other crap. So anyway, this woman wrote this book. Now, I don't believe in the Ouija board because I'm afraid of it. It's a portal. And anything can be a portal. The spirit box that people use, I won't touch it. I was offered a free one. I won't touch it, and I'm sure most of you have. I won't touch it because it's a portal, and something could get in, especially to somebody who was sensitive. And I'm safe where I am, where things come in. I've been attacked by demons a few times, but entities I can just away. But they might wake me up and keep me up for a while. But anyway, so this woman wrote this book, and it talks about they call God Teo in this book. And these people kind of use 70s lingo, but they speak about, I couldn't possibly explain the whole thing. They speak about soul development as entities, giant entities with maybe 1,000,000 souls and thousands of souls in different entities, the way God has it planned. And these entities are birthed, these souls are entity birthed from these entities into a lifetime. And you start out, there are different types of souls. And you start out as an infant soul. As our planet was new, when humans started, you just always start out as an infant soul when you're born. And this is kind of a person who is at the beginning. They're very rough. They don't like, people had to survive in those days. And you move up, the cycles run in sevens. So there's the infant soul. And then when you pass all the challenges of the infant soul, where you're developing in a spiritual and in a intellectual and empathetic manner, you move up to the next level. It could take several lifetimes if you believe in reincarnation. I'm not saying you have to or anything. Obviously, you believe what you believe. You move up to, and they tell the kind of souls there are. There are slave souls. You will always be the same kind of soul. There are artisans. There are warriors, scholars, sages who speak, who are always teachers who teach, who give information, priests, and kings. You could be a poor man, a homeless man, and still be a king. It doesn't run like that. It's the kind of soul you have, what you do with it. And then you get to baby souls. Now, this is a little more advanced. They say most of the people in our age group are either mature souls or old souls. And then after you reach, all right, and then you get the baby souls. Now, this is a little do it right or not at all. Souls in this cycle rarely rise to prominence, but occasionally do, however. It is not unusual to find these souls occupying important spots in smaller environments, as working with true dedication for various organizations. We will give you 3 examples in each category, and you may see how the overleaves, forget the overleaves, too confusing, operate within the cycles and roles to help him in the task. And then they have, again, the slaves, the artisans, the warriors, the scholars, the sages. I believe I'm a sage or a slave. The priests, and then the kings. Then you move to the young souls. Now, these souls are basically active and kind of want to do whatever they want to do. They just kind of like are reckless. They've developed over the ages. That most souls, some souls lag behind because they haven't learned the lessons of, it's all about learning lessons. You may spend 10 lifetimes being stuck in one, or you may spend 20 if you haven't passed. It's like school almost. If you haven't passed to the next level, you can't pass. You have to repeat it. Okay. Then you get to and then you have, of course, the warriors, the sages, the scholars, and you have to get this book. This is fascinating. The priests, the warriors, the kings. Then you get to the mature souls, where most people are at this point. These are the souls who always have to keep up with the Joneses. They're the ones who got to have that car, got to have their lawn mowed exactly right. Everything has to be in alignment. They go with whatever the norm is, whatever people are doing. They're kind of afraid to color outside the box. They go with whatever the popular vote is, whatever the popular thing. And then you have, again, the slaves, the artisans, the warriors, the sages, scholars, the blah, 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 the priests, the kings. Then you get to the old souls. There are some old souls alive today, and you recognize them as really not needing a lot of material things. You enjoy more things that you can't buy. You enjoy hiking. You enjoy the earth. You enjoy your family. You don't need a lot of this, that, and the other thing. You need a roof over your head. You need to be able to pay your bills. You enjoy things more. Your fun may be having a picnic with your family. You're not so interested anymore like a mature soul would be in keeping up, with that car. The neighbor has that car, so I have to have one too. An old soul is somebody who can heal animals, who can talk to animals, who can have a certain understanding of other people, who people come to for empathy, to listen. That's what an old soul is. Then you have, of course, again, your slaves, your artisans, and so on and so forth. I'm just trying to give you a capsule of this. And this makes a lot of sense to me. And when we read this book, my sister, my mother, and I read it over and over again. And we got quite good at it. Then you get the Transcendental Soul. I'm not sure they have it in this chapter. This is the soul that is the closest to God, where you'll go back to God. I don't think they have it in this chapter, but it is the soul where you might be homeless because you have no need of possessions anymore. You have no need of anything. Your body may be taken over by an angel. You may pass back and forth your soul to God, and you have no more need for material things, basically. You may give things away. You want to go home. Your strongest yearning is you want to go home. It's your transcendental soul. It's the last cycle. You've passed all your tests. You've gone. You want to go home to the Father. So you would go home after this cycle was passed. You would give. You would give whatever you had to others. You might be a speaker in the street, or a musician, or somebody who gives to others, who helps people out of the sheer kindness of their heart, not expecting anything in return. That's what a transcendental soul is. And they say sometimes they leave their bodies, and an angel will come. And then you'd have to read all about the different kinds of souls and try to figure out maybe what you are and what level you're on. You're most likely, there are less young souls than there are mostly mature and old souls. And I do believe old souls are also very interested in spirituality. And they can usually grow plants, they have a knack with animals, because they're more understanding. Okay, the soulmate. You may think if you find your soulmate, you got it made. Wrong. Your soulmate. Now, this was all gotten through Ouija board, which like I said, I do not recommend. It is a portal. And I think these people were kind of foolish. These were all doctors and intellectuals who did this, who wrote this book together. Messages from Michael. I would highly recommend it if you're into soul development and finding out more about. It seemed a little cold to me, like God wasn't explained to me when I visit close to heaven, to where God is. I have this overwhelming feeling of love and peace, but it wasn't like this. It was more straightforward in this book, like what actually happens. I saw my soulmate, and I had many visions about my soulmate and what would happen. And it was a disaster. And I wish I would have never, ever seen him. It's usually a man and a woman. These two souls are birthed at the same time, and they don't have to even come from the same entity. They're birthed at the same time. There is such electricity and such a connection between them that those, as they say in the book here, and I know this to be true, is there any way to get that kind of sexual high? There is no pat formula. Is that what you are asking? With the truly telepathic, the experience can be most profound. Many people shy away from such relationships for just that reason. They find it threatening to once open themselves to such intense intimacy. Entity mates in older cycles can occasionally experience that mutual revelation, particularly when there is past associations to draw on. The other condition, absolutely rare, is when they're involved in a sexual act or with twin souls. Twin souls is what they're called. First, you go for the sexual attraction with this person because it's very hard not to feel the physical draw. It is such a physical draw. It's almost like you're in that person's body. No, essence twins, though almost always the same essence role, are not often part of the same entity, but are part of different entities that were cast at the same time. The twinning lasts for all of the cycles. That means you'll be together in all your incarnations. And incidentally, is rarely consummated. That means there'll always be a problem. Most people reject such relationships. Why would anybody do that? Because there'll always be something wrong with it. It's not, I don't even know why it is, because there'll always be karma, heavy karma. And it will cause a disaster if you try to have a relationship with this person. It is too frightening. There is complete psychic union between such twin souls. There is no longer individual perceptions. There is total loss of identity. Most people are too ambivalent and hostile to deal with such a relationship. The uniting of twin souls is a devastating experience. Souls are united, so united are truly one flesh. Surely that's a metaphor. After all, these are different bodies. They're talking back and forth to the entity that spoke to them through the board, which was many, many souls, and they were called, as a group, they called themselves Michael. That's why it's called Messages from Michael. Well, that's well said that you find a relationship frightening. Yes, it is true that you stay in your own bodies, but the intensity of a union, particularly when it is expressed sexually, can be ecstatic beyond any other such perception. On the physical plane, essence twins, if they accept each other, would literally do anything to remain together. Would they even die together? If the alternative were severe enough, yes, they would. What do you mean to suggest that such relationships are always grand passions? That would depend on the nature of the overleaves. Forget the overleaves, too confusing. Baby scholars, for instance, would not go for grand passions as a rule. Baby souls and scholars are a type of soul. For instance, do not go for the cycle in essence. Scholars are somewhat remote, as are artisans. We do not mean to imply that any romantic suicide pacts are a work of twin souls refusing to be separated. More likely, youthful romantic suicides are indulging in high-flown theatrics. The press sages achieve to be the most flamboyant suicides, though most of them do not generally intend to kill themselves, only to reap the benefits and intentions of the attempt. Of course, each fragment, that's us, a fragment of the entity, must experience suicide. As in all incarnations, we must experience every human experience, every single one. To complete our development, we have to experience being the torturer, being the tortured, being every race and color, being in every situation, and that's how we develop. We have to experience everything. It must experience plague and death in battle and execution and starvation and all other forms of death. All suicide tendencies repetitive. Are suicide tendencies repetitive in life after life? No. Sooner or later, the soul learns that suicide is unprofitable. For instance, if a person with terminal cancer suicides and then remains 4 or 5 months of life without its attendant lessons that it still must learn, that soul will experience infant death at a later time. That is not to say that unnatural prolongation of life is required, but that is not the case, and such prolongation can interfere with choice. It is extension. If such extension constitutes action specifically contrary to the choices of the dying fragment, it can lead to a karmic debt for those imposing living upon an unwilling fragment. In other words, keeping a person alive who is on life support, suffering deeply, puts the karma on the people that are doing it, are keeping them alive unwillingly. So, anyway, so that's what it is about. I met my soulmate, and I knew it was my soulmate, and he knew I was a soulmate. It was like instant. And then when I found out his wife had a baby, I didn't even know he was married. That was it. And later on, I connected on social media, and instantly it was like, boom. And we talked like on the phone. Like, I couldn't believe I was telling him this stuff, and he was telling me stuff, and that it was like we knew each other. And I he was married and I was married. And it caused, I never lied to my husband. And I said, I hooked up with somebody. We used to be in the same agency, and he was the golden boy. And, he ended up being a truck driver. And I was, a mother, and I was going to medical assisting school and everything like that. And I felt like I was cheating on my husband. And his wife found out, and it ended horribly. His son died in a crash, an accidental car crash. And I know that had something to do with the karma. It was all karma intertwined. And I saw regressions where I had betrayed him in other lifetimes. And I had to save myself because I didn't have a choice. And they flashed in front of me actually while I was driving. I was driving down the road past this like Swiss Farms. It's like a drive-through milk place, and I was just driving past the road there, and I saw this flash, and I saw this young man. It was like in road robbery times in the Renaissance period, and I saw somebody dropping a body on the other side of the road, and we were hiding in the bushes on the other side of the gully, and they dropped this young man. He had blonde hair and a red shirt, and they had killed him, and they were just and it was like slow motion, and I knew I loved him. He was a young man, but I couldn't save him because I had somebody with me, and if we would have given ourselves away, and there was no way. They were on horseback, and they had weapons, and I was a woman, and he was a man. It usually works out that way. And I felt guilty, and it was so complex, and it ended so badly. And Bobby forgave me, and he knew about it. And I saw this guy. He wanted to, you know, and I wouldn't go along with it. And he moved, and I wouldn't go along with it. He wanted to, and it just it ended very, very badly. And we don't talk about it anymore. Um, we passed that, and it's just some people no wonder do not pick soulmates because it's just not somebody. Usually at that time, by the time you find your soulmate, you're you're in a relationship or somebody else is in a relationship, and it just does not end well because there's such an attraction. And I was the stronger of the two of us. And he didn't understand any of this. And I understood everything because of the way I knew. And there were so many things that I saw and I knew. And it was just, and the last time I saw him, I had a vision. And he was sitting on bleachers, and I was sitting on bleachers on the kind of, there was an aisle between, we were sitting on the top. He was a little bit above us next to his wife. And I was sitting with my husband, and he took her by the hand and he looked at me straight in the eye and he smiled, like to say, I'll see you again. Like he was leaving this lifetime. We wouldn't see each other again or talk to each other again, but he was leaving and we would see each other again. And he smiled and he walked down the stairs. And I haven't seen him. It's been years. I haven't contacted him. I blocked him. Everything. He took down my computer a couple times. He put spyware on my computer. He shut down our business page, he and his wife. If he was doing this to me, he was doing it to other people, other women. And his wife was just in total denial. And I told him what I thought of him, and many times, and I would yell at him. Like, I would insult him, and he never came back with anything. And anyway, so it was a disaster. So I don't recommend getting a soulmate, but you will find this book very interesting, or finding your soulmate. It's not going to work out. If it does, it would have to be when you were very young and there was nobody else involved. Anyway, it's messages from Michael. It tells you all about your soul development, what kind of soul you are, the stages you have to go through, lots of other stuff, a whole bunch of other stuff. And it's written by Chelsea Quinn Yarbro. I will write the link in this video. And it is extremely interesting. And it made a lot of sense to me since I grew up with New Age, or the old ways. And it was fascinating. And it came from an entity, a good entity, through the Ouija board. They were lucky. They didn't get anything else. And my mother did use the Ouija board, and she had a very bad experience for 2 years. We told her not to. My sister and I said, do not use the Ouija board, Mom. But she did, and she had an extremely bad reaction. She was very sensitive, and she opened a portal, and spirits came in, and they kept begging her to pray for them, and they wouldn't leave her alone. She got to the point where she slept with a Bible under her bed, and it was horrible. She had insomnia, so this didn't help. And she picked up on so much stuff. She had the gift so strong. And but anyway, I don't recommend portals, boxes. I know some of you have boxes and all this other stuff, but I wouldn't go there. So anyway, this was very. I'll write the name down when I download this. And okay, well, I thought you'd like to find out about soulmates. There is a connection, a very strong connection. First, it's physical, and then I have visions, so I saw everything, past lives, things that were going on. I could tell what was going on. Plus, his son died in an auto accident, because I looked on his Facebook page and I saw all these condolences for his son, his 22-year-old son. And I was like, I wrote him and I said, what happened? He says, hi, hon. I'll need you more than ever now. I just have to take care of a couple things for the next couple days, and then I'll get back to you. I'm going to need you more than ever now. Yeah, this sounds like a grieving father. This sounds like pity sex to me. And this was And his wife didn't believe it. She read it. So that was about the end of that. And anyway, okay. Well, I'll talk to you soon. And I hope you got something out of this. And I will put the links down if you want to get the book. It's fascinating. So I hope you're all well. And I wish you a good day. Okay. Bye bye.